iOS 17 drops in July with a bunch of new features. Here's all the ones you're actually going to care about in under 1 minute. Your contact list has a new look with this new visual layout. You can now share contact info with somebody else by tapping your phones together. There's a new voicemail feature that will dictate the voicemail in real time if you don't answer. There's a new check-in feature so you can check in with your friends to make sure they made it home safe. Audio messages in iMessage will now be automatically dictated into text. You no longer have to say, "Hey Siri" to trigger Siri, just Siri. This also applies to all of Apple devices. This is a big win for the smart home homies. You can now share AirTags so multiple people can see their location. This is well overdue. There's a new journal app. This is cool. There's this dock mode that you customize to do pretty much whatever you want. Here it is as an Uber Eats order tracker. And lastly, you can now FaceTime on your Apple TV. This will actually be really cool for work applications or like when talking to family. And that's iOS 17 in 1 minute. There's a few other little things as well as AirPods updates and CarPlay updates, but I'll cover those in another video. Thanks for watching.
Things in my 1980s smart home. That just makes sense.
So I absolutely love our new apartment, but because it's an older building, there's one thing about it that I absolutely could not stand. And that's this thing, the Interphone system. So our system is super outdated, and to buzz people in, you needed to get a physical landline, plug it into the telephone port in the wall, then you needed to be there when somebody buzzes in, pick up that landline and push a number. This did not work for me because I wanted to be able to buzz people in while I wasn't home, so I built an overly complicated solution. I did that using this thing. This is called an ATA adapter. These things have both telephone and Ethernet ports. They're able to send telephone signals over the internet and vice versa. Normally these things are used in like call centers so they can monitor their calls on a computer. First, I wrote some code to allow this thing to effectively spoof itself as a landline. Then I plugged one of the telephone ports on this box into the wall in my apartment. Then I was able to use something called a VoIP service to assign this box its very own phone number. VoIPs are basically phone numbers you control over the internet, and I was able to control the number through the Ethernet port. Once I set that all up, my Interphone system saw this thing as an old-fashioned landline telephone, and it was able to attempt to make phone calls to it, and also wait for that button press to open up the door. I took advantage of this in 3 different ways. The first thing it does, and this is the default setting, is it forwards the call from this box to my girlfriend and I's cell phone. Then either of us could answer the call on the phone, talk to the person out front, and push the number to buzz them in. This is how the modern system works, and our jerry-rigged version works really, really well. Number 2 is a little bit more interesting though. So you'll see here in my smart home setup, I have a button called package mode. The idea here is if you're expecting a package, you turn this on. When package mode is turned on, this will no longer forward calls to our phones. Instead, it will just automatically open the door and let the person in as soon as they dial that number. Once they've been let in, that package mode will automatically turn off and go back to the regular cell phone forwarding. This is kind of like a one-time access key that we could turn on. It's really useful if we're expecting an important package and we don't think we're going to be by our phones to let the person in. We just flick that button on. When they try to buzz in, they'll get automatically let in the door, and then it goes back to normal. So this feature goes quite a bit deeper, where I use Amazon's API to figure out when I have a package out for delivery, and I turn this switch on automatically. But that's outside of the scope of this video, but it does work. The third and final way I have this thing set up is using an emergency access code. This is a use case where if we forget our keys and we're locked out of the building because we can't buzz ourselves in. So I was pretty proud of how I was able to program this thing. The way it works is you buzz the apartment number like you normally would if you're trying to get in, and then while it's ringing, you enter a secret code. That secret code is able to be picked up by the box, and it's programmed to, if it receives that given code, auto answer the call and auto let me in. So that means if I'm stuck outside, I have a secret code that I could enter in, this box will recognize it, and then pretty much auto answer and auto buzz me in. This has saved me more times than I'm willing to admit. And that's how I hack my Interphone. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all you. Keep an eye out for more smart home videos. Goodbye.